As part of Motherly Advice Monday, considering it is International Women's Day, I thought that I would kind of talk to you guys a little bit about the time in your life when you get to finishing school. It could be high school, it could be college, it could be nursing school, it could be law school, it could be med school, it could be like whatever school. Whatever, trade school, industrial school, things like that. I've always told our kids, go for the things in life that are going to make you happy. And while you're at it, make sure that it's something that you can see yourself doing in 5 years, and 10 years, and 20 years. Long enough to be able to make money to pay off any student loans, to save up for a house, to start a family, to get married, things like that. Because a lot of times I see kids like 15, 16 years old who they don't know what they want to do with their life. And a lot of time they're doing what they're doing in life because it's parental guidance. When I was younger, I wanted to be a storm chaser. I wanted to be able to get into a vehicle equipped with radar and sonar and technology and all sorts of really awesome shit and drive around the Midwest United States and chase tornadoes for a living. And that's what I like. From a very early age, I would say like 10 years old, I wanted to do that for a living. And my mom was very supportive. My dad, not so much. But I had a very tumultuous relationship with my own dad. So I strived every single day to get the best grades possible, to go to school every day, to learn as much as I could. And then when it came time to go off to college, he wrote me a letter, and I think I might have burned the letter just because I was that upset. I remember sitting in the mess hall in college and reading this letter, and number one, I knew that's what the letter was going to do. I knew that the letter was going to be full of nothing but disappointment and failure and the feeling of not being a good enough person. So I've taken that and I've used that in raising my own kids as a catalyst of how not to treat your children. Because you end up with a relationship that is so askewed and so broken that it is very hard to repair that relationship. That negativity and that feeling of not being good enough for somebody, it's always going to be in the back of your mind no matter what you do. It doesn't matter how well you're doing in school, doesn't matter how well you're doing in your job, doesn't matter how well your relationship is going. You're always going to have it. It's going to like sit right back here in the back of your mind. So I've always told my kids, I want you to do the best that you can do. I don't use how my dad raised me as a way to raise my own children. I figure, kids, they're going to get to a point in their life where they actually know what they're going to want to do. And for some, it may come early in life, some it might come later. But I have never, ever, ever put an extreme amount of pressure on my children to do the best they can. I have never, ever told my children that whatever grades they got, whether they were high grades or low grades, I've never, ever told my children that they're not a good enough person. Because, like, what kind of piece of shit parent does that to their kid? Like, what kind of worthless, utterly craptastic douchebag parent does that to their kid? Like, you may think that you're helping your kids by telling them what you think they need to hear, but to be honest, like, no. And I grew up in a very strict household. I grew up in a household where both of my parents wanted me to have structure, and they wanted me to do well in school and put chores above everything else, make sure my homework was done, participate in extracurricular activities, things like that. But it always just sits in the back of my brain. Like, what kind of piece of shit mother or father do you have to be that for you to tell your own child, the one being that you had a hand in bringing into the world, what right do you have to tell your child that they're not good enough, that they'll never be good enough, that they've made shitty choices in their life, that they're not, like, they're gonna be basically be a complete loser? What kind of fucking parent are you? Like, it's so disgusting how I see some parents talk to their children in a way, and then they wonder why later on down the road their children end up having like anxiety issues, the feeling that they're constantly being judged, that they're not good enough for anybody, that they'll never do well. Like no, like it just. So my piece of motherly advice for Monday is, if you are at an age where you are about to go off to college, or you're thinking of going to college, or you want to join the military, or you want to do whatever it is that you want to do in your life, just know that you yourself, you are worth it. Whether it might seem like it's not with your parents, but you as an individual are worth what you are. Like, don't bend your will to somebody who in the end you're never going to end up pleasing. So if, like I said, if you're like 15 or 16 and you really want to be a video game designer, go for it. Take the classes in high school. Save up and go to a college that has a good technical program. Do co-op programs, internships, do stuff. Work hard at it, because nowadays it is a lot harder to get into professions where salary is involved altogether. And this economy is definitely not helping. So, yeah, I would have to say that just do what you want to do and do what makes you happy. If your parents can't support that, or they can't see that it truly makes you happy, maybe that's for the better. There is no amount of time on this planet that you're going to be able to spend making a parent happy if they're already set up with the mind frame that you're not good enough. You're never going to be good enough. You're not going to do well. Like, all that negativity, that negativity, people just need to stop being so negative to their own kids. But the one thing I did learn about all that negativity from my own father is I took that and I balled it up, and that's what propelled me to joining the military. And that's what propelled me to move to a different region, to go back to school, and and go to work and do a job that makes me happy. Like, you can't spend your life being miserable. Don't ever spend your life being miserable, especially for the sake of trying to please somebody who's completely miserable themselves. And all of this stemmed from, we got the headshots from our 17-year-old's graduation photos. So I decided for my first full motherly Monday, like thought out motherly Monday, I would kind of touch on that a little bit.